Good afternoon. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank our colleagues, members of the leadership team, committee chairman, but most of all, the technical students who are standing here behind me on either side. I want to thank all of you for being here, but wanted to first provide some background. The work on our legislative package regarding workforce development was done far from this building. Our members, our committee chairs, and our policy chair made visits and held meetings with stakeholders on this issue in all corners of the state. We've been with employers who tell us they can't find qualified workers to fill open positions. We've sat down with unemployed workers looking for a job, but without the specific skills needed to succeed for some of these opportunities. And we visited with students like the ones here from Dauphin County Technical School who may not be sure which classes to take because they don't know which skills or industries provide the best opportunities. Plus, and this is one of my concerns as a parent, oftentimes students don't want to take on thousands of dollars in debt for the wrong kind of training. Our members took all of this info back to Harrisburg, and we made it a featured issue to start our 2019 session. Governor Wolf made a similar call, naming a committee to look into workforce development, and we, as a caucus, took action. Working with our Democratic colleagues, we put together the package of bills addressing concerns of employers, students, workers, and government. These bills would allow students to be confident they're learning the most relevant, state-of-the-art skills that translate directly into good-paying jobs. Workers will have new pathways to training that will make employers have to compete to hire them. Top-performing schools and top-paying employers will have new tools to communicate exactly what the workforce needs. So schools can prepare students to have the precise skills needed to thrive in the workplace. And in return, employers will find the workers they need right here in Pennsylvania. So the next time that an Amazon or another large company is considering where to find capable and available workers, they won't take a pass on Pennsylvania. The jobs are out there. In our budget hearings last month, led by our appropriations chairman, the Wolf administration said by their own count, there are literally thousands of open jobs in Pennsylvania right now. Thousands upon thousands of those jobs are good-paying jobs in manufacturing and high-tech trades. In most cases, these careers do not require a four-year degree. Very similar to my own story of pursuing a trade degree, they require a specialized training, the kind of training that this group from Dauphin County Technical School is learning every day. Students graduating from tech and trade programs tell stories of having more than 5 individual job offers upon graduation, and schools are able to advertise statistics of 100% job placement. These bills that we pass in the House will make it more possible for more Pennsylvanians to benefit from these good-paying jobs. The goal is simple: provide a pathway for as many Pennsylvanians as possible to move beyond minimum wage jobs and directly into family-sustaining careers. I want to thank my colleagues for their hard work in moving the first phase of the workforce development bills through the legislative process. There's much more work to be done, and we stand ready to lead the way. I'll turn it over to the Speaker.
Thank you so much, Brian. Our Majority Leader, Brian Cutler, has led the way with the rest of our team. Everybody wave. We're so excited to be here today with these great students from Dauphin County Technical School. We want to make sure that they have the opportunity to get the best job possible as they move into their careers. I bet a lot of you are going to ultimately own your own businesses too if I know how good this is. I've got to tell you, one of the best business people I've been blessed to know is my father-in-law, Joe Camini, and he was an auto mechanic, and just started off small and just got bigger and covered more routes, worked very hard, but the opportunities that each of you are going to get in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is in large part because of the work that all these folks are really paying attention to, focusing on. Brian, the 11 bills, all of them are passed through the House now, is that right? 11 pieces of legislation crafted by our colleagues, men and women, who just want to make sure that there are great family-sustaining jobs for Pennsylvania citizens. Jobs that allow individuals the dignity of providing for themselves and their families. The leadership that Brian Cutler, our majority leader, our policy chair leader, Donna Oberlander, and the rest of the team have put together in forging these bills to create pathways for Pennsylvanians to learn skills for today's modern workforce. A workforce that's changing every day with technology. I want to give you one example just from out my way. I'm in Western Pennsylvania. Look at the petrochemical and manufacturing industries. Right now, in Beaver County, they're putting up a petrochemical facility. There are 4,500 pipe fitters, electricians, iron workers, boilermakers, laborers, operating engineers employed at the Shell petrochemical facility in Beaver County. They are going to need up to 6,000 to 7,000 people at that site. And here's one of the concerns. We may not have enough of this workforce in Pennsylvania to meet those needs. We need more young people to contemplate these great trade opportunities, these real skills. Many of them will continue to work as part of the union workforce. Some will start businesses of their own. A Department of Energy report estimated that Western Pennsylvania can support 4 more plants of that similar size. Oh my goodness. And that's what could happen all across the state of Pennsylvania. This package that we did in the House Republicans, putting people to work, I just think it's the right direction. Brian, thank you so much for including me, my friend.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very briefly, I know that we've distributed some packets outlining both the press releases that were associated with all of these bills, as well as the list of bills that the Speaker referenced. If you have any questions about them, we've assembled many of the prime sponsors and the individual chairmen here. The Speaker and I are happy to take any questions about this workforce development package from the podium. Any other questions about any other matters, we'll be happy to discuss individually. But I don't know if anybody has any workforce questions.
Yeah, so, I mean, the sign over here seems like it's kind of drawing a contrast between this and Governor Wolf's proposal to raise the minimum wage. I mean, Democrats would probably argue, this is a big body, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. You know, have there been any conversations about perhaps a more moderate raise to the minimum wage to accompany the CTE package?
When you look at minimum wage, I've said all along, I'd much rather focus our policies on jobs that are outlined in the CTE package. I think we're going to get more of whatever we focus our policies on. And knowing that there's significant shortages in this world already, I think that that is really the largest bang for our buck. Specific to the conversation, sure, they've been ongoing. We've had some conversations with the governor, but again, I'd rather focus on these kind of career-sustaining jobs and provide a pathway from minimum wage to high-paying jobs, because I think that's what all the students would prefer. Yes? Yeah, got a lot of yeses behind me, so.
What's phase 2 about? How many bills are going to be in it, and when you expect to see them introduced?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
What's phase 2 really going to be about? How many
phase
bills are going to be introduced?
Look, just because we did, and I'll provide a little bit of background, just because we did Workforce First doesn't mean that we won't be revisiting it later in the session. Obviously, the Senate has this as a top priority themselves. We're waiting to see what their proposals are. I also think that education ties directly into this in terms of educational opportunities and how we structure those career pathways. And myself, my wife both went to trade school first, and ways that we can streamline that process I think would be beneficial. So there's lots of opportunities for continued development. So I really think in that regard it's an open-ended package.
You know, I don't know if this is something that could be best handled by one of you guys, or, you know, you have some students here, but like, you know, it seems like a lot of these bills are kind of tiny little tweaks. When taken together, they might mean a lot, but individually, you know, they're small things. Is there anyone who could explain, like, just looking at like at least one of these bills, like, what does that mean for the person who's trying to get themselves into a trade job? Like, you know, I'm sure if there's anything specific.
Yeah. I'll hit the first one on the list on the back of the page, House Bill 265, which expands an established database that allows for students and potential students to plan courses, programs, certificates, diplomas, and transfer among public schools and institutions of higher education. What's the plain English version of that? As a parent, and I'll speak as a parent, and I don't know if any students want to jump in on this, you're certainly welcome. But as a parent, I'd like to know what the high demand jobs are. One of my frustrations was, as government, we oftentimes collect this information, but what we don't do a very good job of is sometimes making it publicly available. That's why we worked on the Higher Education Aid Transparency Act last year in the Education Code, which posts the top 10 in-demand jobs and what skills are necessary for it. This bill would build on that and then provide the pathways and guidance for these students to make those course selections or certificates or whatever they need to pursue those individual careers. So I think it's a real tangible way in order to directly connect those employment opportunities with these young students. You guys want to add anything? No, that's perfect. All right.
Seems like a lot of these require people to be aware that these tweaks happen, aware that there's a database online, aware of that there's now a new tool for them to know where their credits transfer. Is that going to require funding, or is that just trying to tell?
No, I think a lot of times it's simply informing me as a parent. In my case, as my kids are headed that way, as well as the guidance counselors in the schools, to provide that information to them that can be accurately reflected to the students as they're asking questions. We had a great program at our school where we had an AmeriCorps volunteer who actually did this with the students. It was a great position. Brandon Smith happened to be the young man's name at Solanco, and he would provide this kind of information as he found it to the students that might have a particular interest. Say you're interested in mechanical drafting or architectural drafting, something along those lines, and you find those programs and those courses that could open up those doors. So I think a lot of it, honestly, is just knowledge. It's going to be incumbent upon us to talk about it, and I think it's incumbent upon the students and the parents to ask the right questions.
The awareness piece is good. Seth Rose has a great bill to expand curriculum by narrowing what needs to be done.
Yeah, and I encourage you to talk to Representative Grove, who I think was here somewhere. I saw him earlier. He's got a bill that would actually further expand it. So that goes to the prior question about what's next. So, all right, I want to thank everybody for coming today. Thank you very much. And thank you to the students for being willing to work so hard for something that you care about. And thank you to all of you for helping raise that awareness on these jobs.